Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really zooming in on just one day in crypto, June 5th, 2025. We've got a collection of sources here, articles, notes, you name it all from that single day. Covers quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, platform updates, some specific coin news, Bitcoin's chart action, even those bigger picture market cycle debates. It's all in there from just 24 hours.
It really shows how much can happen at once, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You've got the tech side, the money side, the analysis, all churning together.
So our goal today is to kind of sift through this batch from June 5th, pull out the key takeaways, and understand, what it might mean for the market and for you trying to make sense of it all.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Okay, let's kick off with a piece of news that definitely made waves in this collection. Coinbase expanding its DeFi support.
Ah, yes, that's a significant one. One source we looked at points out Coinbase announced they're integrating specific decentralized finance features for XRP and, interestingly, for DOGE as well.
Been doing it on Base, right? Their own layer 2 network.
Exactly, bringing DeFi capabilities for those particular coins onto the Base network. That's the key part.
Which is pretty big because, Coinbase is massive, super user-friendly, mostly known for just buying and selling.
Right.
So bringing DeFi stuff like earning yield, maybe lending, accessing protocols onto their platform, even via layer 2, that really opens the door for a lot of people, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. It lowers that barrier, especially for coins like XRP and DOGE that so many people already hold on Coinbase. Suddenly, they might get easier DeFi access without having to, leave the app they already know.
Bridges the gap.
It does. And by using Base, their L2, the idea is obviously faster transactions, lower fees compared to doing it directly on, say, Ethereum mainnet.
So it's more than just listing a new coin.
Much more. It's about adding functionality. Integrating these DeFi actions specifically for XRP and DOGE into their own ecosystem layer. It feels pretty strategic.
Like they want more activity on Base.
Could be. Get more utility happening there, plus give their users ways to do more with the assets they have. Yeah. Potentially more sophisticated financial stuff.
Okay, sticking with XRP for a minute. The sources from June 5th had this really interesting, almost conflicting picture for it.
Yeah, that wasn't striking. It shows that push and pull you always see.
So on one side, there was news about a company, Weebus International, based in China.
That's right. They submitted a Form 6K with the SEC in the U.S.
And a 6K, just to clarify, that's what foreign companies file to share important info with the U.S. market that they've already announced back home, right?
Exactly. Disclosure of material information.
And this particular filing from ADTO, it was apparently setting things up for a potential corporate treasury plan involving XRP, like a big one.
The figure mentioned was potentially around $300 million. Now, that's obviously a potential plan mentioned in the filing, but yeah.
$300 million. That's not small change for a corporate treasury allocation into XRP.
Yeah.
It suggests maybe companies are starting to look beyond just Bitcoin or Ether for their balance sheets.
It does hint at that, doesn't it? Seeing XRP potentially viewed for that kind of corporate use. It sort of opens up a new angle for adoption, moving it into that whole corporate finance world.
Makes you wonder, if that kind of corporate interest grows, how does it change things for coins usually driven by retail?
That's the big question it raises, a totally different kind of demand, potentially.
But then, the flip side. On the same day, June 5th, another source was talking about XRP getting hammered by volatility.
Right. That's the contrast. Despite that, potentially bullish fundamental news in the background, XRP apparently saw a really sharp price drop that week.
And that drop triggered massive liquidations, specifically leveraged longs.
Yes, exactly. Liquidations on leveraged long positions.
Okay, let's quickly unpack that. Long means betting the price goes up. Leverage means borrowing to make your bet bigger.
Correct.
So you borrow, bet XRP goes up.
Yeah.
But if it drops hard and fast instead, like it did here,
poof. Your position gets closed automatically by the exchange because you've lost your collateral, basically. That's the liquidation. And it can happen incredibly fast.
And when tons of these happen at once, it forces more selling.
Yeah, it creates this cascade effect. Forced selling pushes the price down further, which triggers more liquidations and so on. It can spiral quickly.
Wow. So on the one hand, you've got this SEC filing hinting at huge corporate interest, maybe long-term potential. And on the other hand, short-term, the price action is brutal for traders, especially leveraged ones, getting wiped out.
It perfectly illustrates it. Fundamental potential versus short-term market mechanics. They can be completely disconnected, even moving in opposite directions on the same day.
A company might be thinking years ahead, while traders are losing everything in minutes.
It really underscores the risks of leverage and shows that even if there's positive fundamental news brewing, it doesn't make an asset immune to market sentiment, technical levels, and, the whole derivatives game.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit from XRP and Coinbase. The sources from June 5th also touched on Bitcoin's situation and the bigger market cycle picture.
Right. So for Bitcoin, on that day, it was apparently consolidating, holding somewhere near $105,000 according to one source.
Okay.
And the analysis mentioned it was trading near a triangle apex, which in technical chart terms often means the price is kind of squeezing, getting ready for a bigger move after being range-bound.
Right, like a coiled spring. Could go either way.
Exactly. Could break up, could break down. The source also noted pressure around the 50-day moving average. That's just the average price over the last 50 days. It often acts as a support or resistance level people watch.
So the chart watchers were seeing Bitcoin basically at a decision point, either break resistance, maybe head towards $110, or fall below support.
Pretty much. A moment where the technicals were really in focus for the leading crypto.
And against that backdrop of Bitcoin kind of waiting to make its move, we also have these broader analyses trying to place where we are in the grand scheme of things, the overall crypto market cycle.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that our sources from that day actually had different takes on this.
Right. One article was arguing pretty strongly that the current cycle looked a lot more like the 2014 to 2017 pattern, not like the more recent 2021 cycle. And suggesting people might be misreading things because they're too focused on what just happened in 2021. Recency bias.
Implying maybe a longer, slower burn like that earlier cycle.
But then another article also comparing cycles called the 2017 one, a classic climb and sudden fall.
Okay.
But pointed to signs now suggesting a delayed but explosive finale for the current cycle. Implying, maybe a different shape altogether. Not quite 2017, maybe not the faster 2021 run-up either.
So one says, look further back, it's like 2017. The other says, well, maybe aspects of history apply, but this time it's building differently towards its own kind of peak.
Yeah, it really shows you different analysts look at the same history but draw different parallels, different conclusions about what comes next.
It highlights how subjective market cycle analysis can be. What data points are they prioritizing? Which historical period do they think is most relevant? Are they looking at price fractals, adoption curves, capital flows?
It tells you there isn't one single answer.
Definitely not. Just different ways to try and make sense of these complex, multi-year patterns. Understanding why they differ helps you weigh their arguments.
So let's tie this all together. We've looked at this collection from just one day, June 5th, 2025. What does it all tell us when we put these pieces side by side?
Well, you see a major player like Coinbase making strategic moves in DeFi on its own L2, targeting specific high-profile assets. You see one of those assets, XRP, caught between potentially exciting fundamental news and really harsh short-term volatility driven by market structure.
Right, the liquidation cascade.
Then you have Bitcoin itself, the market leader, sitting at a key technical point, coiled for a move.
And overlaying all of that.
You have analysts actively debating the big picture. Are we in a 2017 replay, a 2021 echo, or something entirely new this cycle?
Seeing it all laid out like this, from the platform moves and specific coin drama right up to the macro cycle debates, it gives you a much richer feel for the environment than just, catching one headline.
Absolutely. It shows how interconnected everything is, or sometimes how disconnected things can seem in the short term. Platform strategy, corporate whispers, trader psychology, historical comparisons, they're all part of the mix on any given day.
And this is kind of how you start to connect the dots yourself, right?
Yeah.
By seeing how these different layers interact.
Yeah, it helps you appreciate the different forces constantly pushing and pulling the market. Real adoption, institutional feelers, speculation, pattern matching, it's all in there.
So thinking about all these threads from June 5th, the Coinbase move making DeFi easier for XRP and DOGE, the potential corporate interest in XRP versus its wild price swings, Bitcoin's technical crossroads, the debate about where we are in the grand cycle. What do you, the listener, think is the most powerful factor shaping things right now? How do you see these different forces, platform growth, corporate adoption potential, market volatility, cycle theories playing off each other moving forward?
Yeah, that's really something to chew on as you keep following this space. How do all these pieces fit together in your mind?